Is she involved in any type of extracurricular activities? That word always messes me up.
Yes, ma'am. Basketball, track and field, and tennis.
All right. Does dad pay for any of those?
No, ma'am.
How much are the fees associated annually with each one of those?
Annually, probably roughly $4,700.
All right. Is dad aware that she's in these activities?
Yes.
All right. The extracurricular activities, does he attend those?
No, Your Honor.
So
All right, folks, hold on to your seats. This is going to be a wild ride. We're about to dive into a courtroom drama that will have you questioning not only paternity, but also the meaning of commitment, a 72-hour whirlwind relationship, a mystery dad, and of course, the looming question of child support. Is it his? Well, stick around because we're going to find out.
All rise. Support court with Judge Vanda B is now in session. Judge, this is case number JVB1078, McKinney case.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You all may be seated. Okay, Ms. McKinney,
Yes, ma'am.
you brought this case before the court. What's going on?
Well, Your Honor, I am here to try to recoup cost.
Welcome to Support Court, where Judge Vander B sets the stage for what could be a simple child support case, or so we think. But here comes Miss McKinney, standing alone with a story so bizarre, it could have come straight out of a soap opera. She's trying to recover $4,700 annually for her 9-year-old daughter's extracurricular activities. Oh, and did I mention Dad is nowhere in sight to pitch in? Yeah, that's fun.
That I've incurred with my daughter.
All right.
She's 9 years old. She's been with me since birth, and I'm paying for everything. I've been doing it all on my own.
All right.
Without a problem, but I've been doing it all on my own.
All right. And when you say all on your own, Dad isn't helping out financially at all?
At all.
Okay. And you said your daughter's 9.
Yes.
So, what happened here? Well, turns out Miss McKinney has been carrying this whole parenting load on her own, financially and emotionally, because her situation with the father was, let's call it a very brief fling. It lasted 72 hours. That's it. That's the romance. A whirlwind weekend in Washington, D.C., one business trip, a nightclub, and, well, I'll leave the rest to your imagination.
Is she involved in any type of extracurricular activities? That word always messes me up.
Yes, ma'am. Basketball, track and field, and tennis.
All right. Does Dad pay for any of those?
No, ma'am.
How much are the fees associated annually with each one of those?
Annually, probably roughly $4,700.
All right. Is Dad aware that she's in these activities?
Yes.
All right. The extracurricular activities, does he attend those?
No, Your Honor.
So here's where it gets really interesting. Mr. McKinney, the dad, didn't just disappear after the 72 hours. No. He was fully aware of the baby, never financially supported her, and definitely did not show up at the hospital for the birth. In fact, he was late by a whole week. Classic. And get this, no DNA test, no paternity acknowledgement, just happy birthday text to the daughter. Wow, what a stand-up guy.
So he doesn't pay for those?
No.
So what is the backstory? I mean, she's 9, so were you all in a relationship previously? Like, what happened?
We were in a situationship for a weekend.
What in the world is that?
Well, it was a little bit more than a one-night stand. It lasted approximately 72 hours. I was on business in Washington, D.C., and he was there for a teacher's conference. I met him at a nightclub.
Ooh,
and
I need to be careful what I ask.
Well, listen, the night grew long, and things happened within the next 72 hours. And so, yeah, that's the extent of it.
Okay,
And now, Mr. McKinney has entered the chat. He's ready to defend himself, claiming Miss McKinney has left out a few minor details, like how he's actually a teacher with a newborn son of his own. Oh, and he's now married. Big shocker, he's got a whole family now, and in his mind, that means he's off the hook for helping out with this child. His explanation? Simple. He just doesn't believe it's his kid. You know, because apparently the only white man she's ever been with narrative doesn't quite add up in his head.
you got pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. Was he involved in the pregnancy?
Well, he was definitely there.
Well, no, throughout your pregnancy.
Oh, throughout? No, ma'am.
Okay. So you just literally had the baby, no help from him, nothing like that. Did he show up at the hospital?
No, he was late.
Okay. So did you all have a DNA test done?
No.
Does he know he's the father?
He doesn't think that he is, and he's the only Caucasian that I've ever been with, so.
Okay. So that's where the issue lies then.
Mr. McKinney also graciously drops in the fact that his new son is definitely his because, you know, he's white. That must be the key to fatherhood, right? It's like DNA doesn't even exist. But wait, there's more. He's also concerned about his new relationship, thinking Miss McKinney is just here to sabotage his life and his son's future. All this without a DNA test. Well, let's just say his logic could use some work.
He doesn't
Basically.
believe he's the father, which is why he hasn't given you any money.
But he sent text messages, and he sent happy birthdays, you know, things
Okay.
of that nature. How is she doing? So I believe if he didn't care at all, he wouldn't send those text messages. Now, he's done that for the past 9 years. I've just never seen any greenbacks to follow those texts.
Okay. So when he arrived at the hospital, did he sign the acknowledgement of paternity?
No, Your Honor, when I meant he was late, the baby was already a week old at the time. I was already at home. We'd left the hospital. That's what I mean by late.
Oh, so he didn't show up at the hospital at all?
No, Your Honor.
So he didn't sign the birth certificate or any acknowledgement of paternity or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So you're here today to do what exactly?
Well, I was hoping you would be able to help me.
Judge
First-
Vanderby isn't having any of it. He calmly and sarcastically reminds Mr. McKinney that the law doesn't exactly care about your feelings on whether the child looks like you or whether you have a new baby. What matters is whether or not you're actually the father. And if you are, guess what? Time to start paying up. But hold on. Before anything can happen, they need to sort out the paternity once and for all. And how do they do that? DNA test, folks. Classic courtroom drama.
First and foremost, establish paternity
Okay.
at this point.
All right.
And
We
possibly
would definitely have to do that before any child support takes place.
Of course,
Okay.
of course.
All right. Is there anything else you want me to know before I move over to him?
No, that's pretty much it. I've just been doing everything on my own. In my heart of hearts, I know that he is the father. I have no doubt. I'm just needing assistance.
Okay. All right. All right. Sir,
Yes, Your Honor.
is what she's saying. Now, let me be clear in my questions because I just realized that I probably shouldn't have asked that question like that. Now, bypass all the 72-hour stuff that she talked about, right? Now, she's pregnant.
She was.
Okay, you were not involved in that process at all. In
No.
terms of,
Now, Miss McKinney has some choice words. She's been dealing with all of this alone for 9 years. She knows in her heart who the father is, and it's not about the money for her. It's about getting the support her daughter deserves. I mean, how sad is it that she has to chase him down after all this time just to get what's rightfully hers? And yet, here we are. This is what we've been reduced to.
the pregnancy.
Look, let me just start off by saying that most of what she said is essentially true.
Okay.
Although there's some giant omissions in there and some things that you need to take into account to get the full picture.
Well, does it involve the 72-hour
So
thing?
we were involved approximately that amount of time, yes.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't want to know any specific
don't
details
worry.
about that.
I'm not here to give you the details of it. I'm just here to tell you that we were in an intimate relationship on and off for about 72 hours, yes.
Okay. So, after you found out she was pregnant, what happened?
Well,
So, let's recap. We've got a dad who's denying fatherhood, a mother trying to survive financially while raising a child alone, and a judge who's just trying to get to the truth. And guess what? The truth isn't always as simple as a court case. Sometimes it's messier than you could imagine. The twist here? Paternity isn't even settled yet, so nothing happens until they get the DNA test results.
first let me add some context to everything before I answer that, Your Honor. She works for the federal government. I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher. She
Okay.
makes significantly more money than I do. I make about $60,000 a year. I don't know the exact figure of her annual income, but I know it's a lot more than that. She's in far better position to support her daughter than I would be, and what she's asking for.
You
for me
said
from-
her daughter, so you truly don't believe this is your child?
I am willing to accept that it may be, but we've not done a DNA test. What she said about being only with one Caucasian man, I have no way of knowing if that's true. She's lied before to me. So don't take, she was honest with a lot of the stuff she said fairly, but Here's a big thing she forgot to mention. I have a son of my own. I have a newborn son, and with my fiance.
Congratulations.
What does
Thank
that
you
have
very
to do
much.
with this?
Now, Mr. McKinney thinks he can take the high road and refuse to take responsibility for a child he might not even know is his. But let's be real. He's acting like the good guy in all this, claiming that supporting his possibly biological child would be an imposition. But no worries, everyone. He'll continue to throw those happy birthday texts out into the void because that totally makes him father of the year.
With this?
This is
Well,
what it
I allowed you
Okay.
the opportunity to speak. This is his time.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
I asked you, was there anything else you needed me to know before I moved over to
But
him?
I already know he's gonna push my buttons.
Okay, well, just sit there and don't let him push your buttons.
Okay.
That's the easy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
So I have a newborn son with my fiance, and I know that he's my son for sure. And I know, and
How do you know for sure?
Because he's
Well-
white.
be-
Ma'am.
because the woman who gave birth to him has been with me and only me for the past 3 years now. That's how I know that he is my son. And he does, despite being a newborn, having a little newborn face, he does look like me. I can tell. So, but anyway, what she's asking for, she does not need financial compensation from me to support.
By this point, Judge Vanderby is on his last nerve, and who can blame him? The back and forth between these two is getting old, fast. He's had enough of the excuses and now lays down the law. If the DNA test comes back positive, Mr. McKinney is legally required to pay child support. Simple as that. The fact that it's come to this, after all these years, is almost laughable.
Support possibly our daughter. And the other factor she didn't take into consideration.
Wait a minute. Did I hear that right? Let me rewind.
Yeah, he said
that.
need.
Let me
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
rewind that. You said she does not need money from you. So let me make sure I got that right.
Because she makes so much more than me.
Right. So even if it is your child,
Right.
she still doesn't need to get money from you?
In my opinion, this is what she's doing here right now has nothing to do with needing money. It has to do with jealousy. She's trying to interfere with my relationship with my new son and my fiance.
Baby, I
By
care
bringing-
less about that, okay?
You hear what
Two
she said?
things for certain, one for show. I care less about that.
Excuse me? I
I'm
thought we
sorry.
weren't going to allow him to
It's-
push your buttons.
But of course, it's not that simple. Mr. McKinney's refusal to accept responsibility shows just how messy these situations can get. He didn't sign the birth certificate, he's now raising a new child, and he's apparently got no interest in acknowledging this one. But at the end of the day, a child deserves more than just text messages. And the judge? Well, he's clearly ready to make that clear.
I
Thank
left
you.
one button out. I'm
I've
sorry.
got buttons.
Thank
Well,
you.
I've gathered all my buttons, and you ain't gonna push
Well,
them.
you
I've got a
know,
whole control panel.
Okay, nobody asked you
excuse
that.
me. The only
You're
person
so
that's going
freaking
to be
childish.
excuse me. The only person that's going to be pressing buttons up here is me.
I'm trying not to press his head.
Well, we're definitely not going to do that because then the bailiff will have to escort you out, and then I'll more than likely dismiss your case. So that wouldn't be a good thing, right? Ultimately, the both of you are here for one thing. You all want to find out if he is indeed the father of your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, sure.
Seems like a weird place to do that. I don't see a DNA kit anywhere nearby.
Oh, now
well,
you're
we
challenging
do
her
that. We do that
circumstance.
in a different area.
Stupid.
We have.
Okay.
Excuse me, that wasn't very nice.
Well, it wasn't nice for him to dish your courtroom either. I'm just saying.
No, I meant
Well-
no disrespect to your court, ma'am.
So, Judge Vanderby wraps it all up, reminding the parents that regardless of their history or drama, the child still needs support. If Mr. McKinney is the father, he's going to have to step up. And if he's not, well, Miss McKinney will keep searching for answers. Either way, it's a reminder that actions and genetics speak louder than words.
I don't take offense to that because I don't sit up and let people push my buttons often. All right? So this is what we are going to do. We are going to reset this pending DNA results. Now, if for any reason the child does come back, the DNA test does come back and you are the father, you will have to start paying child support being ordered today, all right?
Can I respond to that, Judge, if I may? We were in what amounted to a long one-night stand. We never committed ourselves to each other. I wasn't even aware that she gave birth.
He has
until-
to contribute financially. The horror. Meanwhile, his wife and newborn son must be so proud of him right now. A true role model. At the end of the day, the real lesson here is simple. You can run from responsibility, you can deny, you can send half-hearted happy birthday texts, but you cannot outrun a paternity test. And when the truth catches up, well, let's just say karma has a hell of a sense of humor. And that's it for today's episode of Drama in Court, where everyone loses. Remember, folks, if you ever get caught in a mess like this, just think of this. A court order is the gift that keeps on giving. But hey, at least you don't have to face it alone. See you next time, hopefully with less drama.